Hi again, Phil here with Phil's DIY, bringing you another video episode. Today's a very exciting day for me because I finished installing a kick sensor on my 2021 RAV4 Prime SE, which, as you know, doesn't come with the kick sensor system installed in the bumper. But I found one on eBay and finished installing it, and it works. The only thing is it only works on the opening side. It doesn't work to close it. I'm not sure whether the XSE factory installed version works both ways, but for now it works to open the hatch. I'm working on some electronic modifications to see if I can get it to go both directions so that after I unload everything, I can use my foot to close it. So let's see. Isn't that great? And then to close it, I have to use the switch. So stick to the end. You'll see the entire installation process, and then I'm going to explain to you what happened with in terms of why it only works in one direction. But I'm working on a solution. Hopefully it'll work, but if not, everything still works great, and I'm really happy with that I have my kick sensor installed. This is my kick sensor kit that I ordered from eBay. It finally arrived. Open it up. Comes with the sensor module, the outside part of the harness, which has a watertight connection, and then the main wiring, which connects to power, accessory, and the green line, I think, is for the connection to the trunk lid sensor. Comes with 3 wire splicing blocks, and it's a sticker with the image of the foot sensor. Put it under the bumper right next to where the sensor is. Let's get started. If you recall, I had to take this part off to do the trunk lid lights, and I need to take them off now to run the wires up to the switch. Oops. Take that side off. This piece also pops out. Maybe I don't need to pull the whole thing apart. There we go. Yeah. Perfect. And that gives me great access into this body panel. I do need to still fish that wire from here to there. So to do that, I think I'm just going to loosen this. So in order to keep it from getting this all greasy and dirty, I think I'll just pull it all the way out and keep it out of the way. Oh, I do need to pull out these tabs. Okay. And then that allows nice clear access, and that should be easy to drop the wire through there. All I need is this green wire to go up there. Okay, so I'm going to run that wire through this. And to do that, I will use this 12 gauge wire. So I have this wire lubricant. Makes pulling wires through conduits and spaces like that a little bit easier. Just a little dab. And in you go. And there it is. I want it to come out right there. Boom. See? Now I'm just going to attach my green trigger wire to it. To do that, I want to go in from here. Okay, and a little bit of tape to keep it from getting stuck on the pull. Okay, and then we'll just pull it through and out this side like so. Take the tape off. So now I have the wire that went through here, down this way, and the connector's right there. I just need to pull my red and yellow wires down this way because those guys are going to connect to my fuse block. And then this is the lead for the sensor that gets mounted up on the underside or the inside of my bumper. Before I do that, I have to run this guy up to meet with this. The installation of this kick sensor assembly requires a battery lead, which is constant 12 volts and doesn't switch off, and an accessory lead, which switches off when you turn the power off. I poked around and I found that this is constant hot. This one is switched 12 volts. I got these fuse block taps. Goes into the spots where the fuses go, and it comes with a pigtail lead. This lead comes from this terminal up to this lead. You got to jumper it with a fuse, and the kit came with 5 of these 5-amp fuses, and if it's in an empty slot, then I don't need a secondary fuse here. But for the power lead, I'm going to use it as a jumper and put the original fuse back here. And so I'm going to just use this one as a piggyback holder. So the original fuse will go right here, and my 5-amp fuse will go here, and the whole thing will plug into the fuse box, and that'll get me the constant on 12 volts. The other one will go in right here, and that's a switched 12 volts. And there's an empty spot here, so I'm just going to use that and take my accessory switched 12 volt lead. This is the one that's going to be the constant hot, and that's the original 15-amp fuse. This is my 5-amp fuse that's going to supply power out of this red lead, and I've stripped it. I've cut off the butt connector. I'm just going to solder it and put a heat shrink tube on it, and that should make it nice and clean. This cable is the one that connects to the sensor module, which goes on the underside of the bumper. And I'm fishing that up under this plastic piece out here, and I will, let's see what's the best way to do this. With the possibility that the battery will need to be accessible at some point in the future, I will run it this way. And I just need to make sure I leave enough of this cable down below. Now there's a bolt here that I can use for the ground, which is that. Then I'll be ready to plug this guy back in to the cable. I've got my ground lead attached to the body. Now I'm ready to connect this that has the battery connections and my green trigger wire that's run up. I'm going to connect that, and then I'll secure all of this like so, right there. And then I'll run these guys down that way and plug in here. Down there and out. Okay, I am going to solder up these wires. The wires are prepped. I just need to apply the solder. So that's good there. Shrunk nicely. Now I do the same with this one. Just kind of heat it all the way around. Nice smooth shrinking. And that's the whole thing. This is the constant on, which has the original car's 15 amp and my 5 amp. And that's going to plug in right here. And the accessory, which is the switched 12 volts, is going to go right here. This one didn't have an original, so I'm just going to use this with only my 5 amp. And that goes like so. And the lead will go down there. And wiring is basically done. So this is how the fuse block looks after I've installed my kick sensor power leads. This one here is the 12 volt constant on power line, and it goes through my tap device here, leaving the original 15 amp fuse in place, plus my 5 amp fuse that feeds my kick sensor. This one is the switched 12 volt lead, which plugged into a regular blank fuse slot, and that feeds the accessory switched 12 volt into the kick sensor module. I'm just going to plug it in and do a kick test without this module attached. I'm going to just place it down below, do a simulated kick, and make sure that the hatch moves. And I see that there are a couple of rubber grommets. Just going to punch a hole right there, and then that'll drop the wire right through that into the underside of the car. So the connector's here. I'll plug it in. I'll just perch it right in place, and I'm going to simulate a kick. And it works. Well, what do you know? It's going to work. So now I just need to run that cable through the grommet. So this is the grommet I'm going to go through. So I'm going to take my drill and drill out a hole, which will be just big enough for this connector to go through. Got it through. Okay, next step is attaching the sensor module. I have to attach this right up under here. This has 2 holes for screws. It didn't come with any screws, but I'm going to use these screws. I don't know if you can see it, but anyway, these are just about the right size to bite into this plastic, and that should be enough to hold it. This is what I'm going to use. It's got a nice pan head, and it's black, so it shouldn't be too noticeable on the underside here once I have it installed. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to locate the center, hold that in place, and this is the first time I'm going to drill into my new car. So here goes. Okay, and next hole. Enlarge the hole a little. And then I have to clean the inside before I apply the adhesive. Nice and tight. Take the backing off the adhesive. And now is the point of no return, I think. Okay, I need to turn on the accessory so that that doesn't happen again. Okay, let's try this again. I think that's it. So I had my trigger wire connected right here. which is connected to this switch, which is accessible only when the hatch is open. Problem is, when the hatch is closed, this switch doesn't function, so it doesn't have any signal going through it. Whereas the main one up there, that switch is the one that you use to open it when the hatch is closed. And that switch is this guy, which is these 3 wires. My problem is I don't know which of the 3 wires is the open switch and which one is the lock switch, because there's a little switch on that switch assembly that when you press it, it locks and unlocks the car, and the other one is the one that opens the hatch. So I have this one, which is got a black stripe. I'm going to assume that is the common, and it's one of these 2. So I'm going to strip back one of them first and test it out, and if that works, then great, that's it. Otherwise it'll be the other one. The new wire that I found up here to trigger it when the hatch is closed will work. It opens the hatch. Problem is, when it's fully open, this switch no longer operates, and this one does. But when it's fully closed, this one does not operate, whereas this one does. So in the full open position, only one of the 2 switches works. In the fully closed position, the other one works. And when it's in between, then both work. So that is an electronics dilemma. I'm trying to think of how I might be able to use the same trigger wire to trigger both without having to cross-connect the 2 lines. So anyway, I'm going to close it up now. I'm going to leave it in this position because this will open the hatch with the kick motion when it's closed. When I need to close it after it's been opened, then I'll just have to use the manual switch on the lid until I figure out what to do. So that's it for now, folks. I've buttoned up the kick sensor installation, and as I mentioned in the video, the problem that I discovered is that the 2 switches on the hatch operate independently from each other. So they don't both feed the same circuit. So what happens is when the hatch is shut, only the upper switch works, and when the hatch is open, only the bottom switch works. And when it's fully open like this, the upper switch doesn't work, and vice versa. When it's shut, this switch does not work. So just connecting it to one of the wires wasn't enough to get it going both ways. And I've got a circuit designed that I think might work. So we'll give it a try when the parts come in. And if it does work, I'm going to create a little follow-up video to show how that worked and share that circuit idea in case any of you want to try it. Remember, if you enjoy what I do with these videos, click on that subscribe button and give me a thumbs up, and I'll try to keep bringing you these videos as I make them. And for now, bye.